Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 348 for June 11th, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's show, the LFA crowns a champion while the UFL's championship game is now set. Week 1 of the CFL season began, and the Calgary Stampeders get win number 700. And last but not least, 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey is this year's Madden cover athlete. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table from me, as always, is my son Adam.
That's the sound of me cracking open a cold one over the weekend because literally you could watch so much football at one time. It was insane.
And people are complaining, oh, there's no football, there's nothing to do. Yeah, those people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and some idiots went to a baseball game, and I texted him and said, hey, by the way, I've watched a CFL game, a UFL game, an arena game, a indoor football game, the Arena League game, and if I wanted to, I probably could have watched a European League of Football game. That's the one I didn't watch live. There was so much you could have done. Thank God for the internet sometimes.
Yes, I did attend the Detroit Tigers game. Actually bought a Detroit Tigers
I thought this
hat.
was the world of Facebook, the world of football, not the world of baseball.
Well, you know, when your brother says, hey, we're getting the guys together and we're going to a game, and this was my fourth game in my life, between 1969 and now. This was my fourth game, so
I've never been to a baseball game.
It happens very rarely.
I've been wanting to go to Comerica. I just never have. It's literally right next to Ford Field. I've never been.
Yeah, I've been to 2 games at the old Tiger Stadium and 2 games at Comerica Park.
Yeah.
And the last time I was there was in 2000 when the stadium opened. So 24 years between visits to Comerica Park.
Now, I do want to. I know this is football, but I do have a couple of baseball questions for you. First off, when did you buy the hat? Because there's a picture of you wearing a Detroit Tigers hat, and I know you didn't own that before that game.
I bought it like in the second or third inning. I knew I was going to buy a hat.
Fair weather fan.
I knew I was going to buy a hat there, so I didn't wear a hat to the game.
And at what point during the game did the Tigers end up losing that game? Because I saw one highlight where 2 or 3 guys ran into each other trying to catch a fly ball.
That was incredible. You could almost hear the heads cracking.
You hear it on the replay. I'm sitting there watching it, the replay with my girlfriend while we're watching football, and that happened. I was like, "Gee!"
It was a 5-4 loss, and it came down to the 9th inning. They needed a hit or score a run to send it into extra innings, and they couldn't do it. So it was a good game. It was fun though. It rained a little bit, like in the 6th inning or so, and then it stopped, and it was fine after that. So we never left our seats.
Right on. And that was it for This Week in the World of Baseball. Now to your regularly scheduled podcast.
Yeah, now back to your regularly scheduled podcast. We come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the descriptions of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @TheWorldOfFootball in the YouTube search bar. You will find other selected videos on our YouTube channel, like a couple that we just posted this past week. Adam's Week 6 edition of Arena Football League Weekly. And a new one that just got posted late last night. Canadian Football League Weekly, Week 1 recap.
Yeah, burning the candle at both ends. A little later than I wanted to get up, but hey, sometimes life gets in the way, and I just got it up when I got it up.
Yep.
So it's a new show, so you might notice during this podcast, because Dad and I kind of talked about it, with us doing a weekly show about the CFL on the YouTube channel, that means we probably won't talk as long about the CFL during the podcast. So if you're aching for our typical CFL talk, jump over to that show. I think we did a pretty decent job covering week 1. Very excited for week 2.
Made a few mistakes. I've got some corrections I'm going to talk about next week. A few things I got wrong in the first one, but it was fun. It's good to talk Canadian football, and we've loved the game for a long time. And,
Yeah.
it's good that Canadian football's back.
Yeah, we'll gloss over some of the games and still some of the news in this podcast. So
Yeah, we'll just do the scores here, and if you want all the details and highlights, check out our YouTube video on that.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what else here. Oh, okay. So I guess that's everything for now. So let's begin today's tour around the world of football, and we're going to start this week south of the border in the LFA.
That's right. We're kicking things off down there because guess what? It was Mexico Bowl 7, the championship game for La Liga de Fútbol American Profesional.
Close.
Yeah, close. Where the Chihuahua Warlords defeated the Raptors 34-14. The Raptors, I don't know what area they're from. Probably could have looked it up, but it was our first.
I tried to. They didn't say a whole lot. Chihuahua, the province of Chihuahua and the Warlords is the only one I actually saw them listed without doing a whole ton of research. But yeah, normally they just go by the Warlords and the Raptors, but I did see they're from the province of Chihuahua.
Yeah, I mean this is our first full year covering the LFA
right. Yeah.
on the podcast. So hopefully next year, we'll if we get some more feedback, we'll probably cover them a little differently, hopefully, and be a little more well informed going into next season. But so the Warlords take the championship. They go undefeated, 10-0 for the second year in a row, and post back-to-back titles. So congratulations to them. The Warlords never trailed in this game, and as I've been saying for a long time, even though we haven't really covered this league, that championship trophy is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, I finally got to see it. It's okay.
What do you mean it's okay? It's literally a mix between the Super Bowl trophy and the Wimbledon plate, whatever that thing is they hand out at Wimbledon.
Well,
that's right, a tennis reference and a baseball reference and a football podcast today. Just wait till I get that badminton reference in somewhere.
Yeah. And I don't have anything else on this game other than their season.
Their season's all done.
Their season's over with. Yep, and crowned champion and undefeated Warlords. Congratulations to them. Yeah,
back-to-back champions. I mean, can't argue with a team that's that consistent.
Yeah.
And I guess for those of you out there who haven't even checked out this league, they do have a YouTube channel. You can go back to watch a lot of their games. They do have the highlights from this game up there. So they do a really good job. Yes, it's in Spanish, but I think if you just bear with it, you can still watch some pretty decent football down there in Mexico. So that'll be it for the LFA until next season.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the UFL semifinal games. On Saturday, the Birmingham Stallions defeated our beloved Michigan Panthers by the score of 31-18. Michigan had an 18-12 lead in the third quarter, but they gave up 26 unanswered points. They were shut out in the third quarter.
They were shut out in the second half.
Shut out in the second half, yeah.
It was.
I didn't watch any of this game.
No, you were at.
I was at
your dumb baseball game.
Yep.
But
you watched it.
I did. This was heartbreaking. Sure. I watched this whole thing. The Panthers came out, looked like a totally different team in the second half. But that first half, they pretty much controlled the game. Yes, they got held to probably a few extra field goals. It would have been nice for them to, get a couple extra touchdowns in there. It would have been a different game. But credit to Birmingham for being consistent and not getting their heads down when they were, down at one point 18-3, or 15-3 at one point. And they just, at one point in the third quarter, there was some craziness that happened where there was turnover after turnover. It was one of the ugliest, most exciting quarters of play I've ever seen. There were fumbles and interceptions, and like one team did the Panthers did a fake punt, got a first down, and on the very next play, they gave the ball back. It was just brutal. It was just frustrating. And, I was wearing my Michigan Panther shirt and my hat. I was excited. I thought for sure they were going to the Super Bowl. The UFL championship game, because the exact same thing pretty much happened to our Lions. At least they scored at the end of that. But two Michigan teams I love blowing it in the second half.
Yep.
I couldn't believe it. But credit to the Stallions. Like, they have been the most consistent spring team out there.
Oh, yeah, for 3 years.
For 3 years.
If they win next week, this will be 3 championships in a row.
Yep.
In 2 different leagues.
And they benched eventual MVP Adrian Martinez during that game, too. Backup quarterback Matt Corral came in, led them to the victory. But, then yesterday they announced that Martinez was the league MVP.
Yep.
So we'll see if we have a quarterback controversy going into the championship game next week. But I think it's cool also that for the conference championship games, they're keeping the trophies from the respective leagues.
Right.
I like that. I like that quite a bit. So the UFL trophy is now the conference trophy, and so the Stallions win that for the 3rd straight year.
Okay. Another takeaway from this game is the fact that this game was played on Saturday.
Yep.
Here it is Tuesday, and I have not yet heard that Jake Bates has been signed by the Lions. What is taking the Lions so long?
I sent you a thing. I mean, it's not official, but the Lions have supposedly expressed interest.
I don't want them to hear that. I don't want to hear they're expressing interest or they like him or they're looking into it. Just sign the man.
They have requested to host the kicker. So the Lions, and I believe there's 4 or 5 other teams that have requested to host Jake Bates. So we'll see. I'm sure that news will be coming imminently.
No, get somebody off the roster and sign him today. That's my mandate for that. And one other thing related to this game is that Panthers head coach Mike Nolan was named the UFL Coach of the Year a few days ago.
I mean, they also announced like their all UFL team. The Panthers had quite a few guys on that roster.
Right.
I was almost going to pull that up. Thought we might talk about that if you want.
Well, those were the 2 main ones.
But Breland Speaks, I mean, the linebacker for the Panthers, who
he was a beast all year.
Defensive Player of the Year, I think, as well. But fantastic guy. I kept forgetting his first name all season long when I tried to bring him up. But Breland Speaks was incredible. Hopefully he gets a NFL shot here in the upcoming season as well as Jake Bates. Yeah. But the Panthers going forward, look, I like Mike Nolan as a coach, but what he had to do, he worked 4 quarterbacks somehow, and took that team to the conference championship game. They need a quarterback. You got to find your McLeod Bethel Thompson. You got to find your Adrian Martinez. They might have that guy in Perkins who ended up getting hurt last week. Maybe that'll be your guy going forward. I don't know, but they need to find a quarterback. Because they had a team that could compete. They had a team that could keep the Stallions at bay. Between their first game of the year, which came down to the end of the game, their last meeting last week came down to the end of the game again, but they let the Stallions kind of surge back just like this week. So I think they need a quarterback, and they just need to be able to somehow milk that clock so you don't let these teams come back into games.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think next year we could be talking about the Michigan Panthers being a front runner for that UFL championship.
Yeah. Okay, and then on Sunday, the San Antonio Brahmas went into St. Louis and did the impossible. They beat the Battlehawks 25-15. I mean, I know San Antonio's been playing real well lately, but I just thought being at home in front of that home crowd in St. Louis that the Battlehawks were just going to walk away with this game without really trying, and it was not the case. So, they would have hosted the championship game next week had they won that game. Now, I don't know what the crowd's going to be like. Had the Battlehawks been in that championship game, that place would have been sold out. Everybody would have been there going nuts for their team. But now with the Brahmas playing the Stallions, I don't know what kind of crowd they'll have there.
Yeah, I mean, even at the championship game, I was a little surprised they didn't break their record, because I guess only about 30,000 fans were only about. I mean, that's pretty good for a UFL game.
Sure, yeah.
But
probably better than anybody else.
Yeah, so a little disappointed just because I thought for sure they could crack more than that for this game. But they didn't. So, but I watched a little bit of this at the end. It was tough to see the Brahmas, the Battlehawks kind of lose the way they did. It seemed like nothing would go right. AJ McCarron, got hurt and played through injury. But credit to Coach Wade Phillips. Credit to the Brahmas for what he did with that team. And
did you see the highlight at the end of Wade Phillips talking to the
a tight end for the Battlehawks saying, "I'll talk to people in the NFL that I know."
That's pretty coal. I like that.
I mean, that's the whole point of this league. It's like give these guys have coaches with NFL ties, and then you got all these guys like. All he's got to do is make a couple phone calls when the season's done. Like, hey, you really probably should take a look at this guy, and that's what the whole point of this league is. Whether or not it'll ever be an official, partner with the NFL, where they're, like moving players up and down or whatever, that's one thing. But I think to get their to get eyes on these guys, to get tape on these guys is pretty awesome and good for him. I forget that player's name, the tight end. He was a beast. That dude was something else. I mean, the Battlehawks had a rough day, but he was kind of their one big shining guy. So,
okay, so that sets up the UFL championship game next Sunday, June 16th, Birmingham versus San Antonio in St. Louis. So,
I don't expect the crowd to be anywhere near what it was.
Yeah, I don't think they'll pull in 30,000 for the game.
I'm wondering if they even cracked 20,000 for that game. Yeah. I'll be curious to see.
I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see who all shows up for that one. I mean
All right.
that is. I mean the Brahmas are the Rock's team.
Yeah.
So
Well, and we'll see. I do you have a prediction on who you think will win next week? Because I'm thinking the Brahmas might take it. They're the only team to beat Birmingham this year. I think the Brahmas might end up taking it. They seem like a team of destiny.
I don't know. I think Birmingham has been there before, and I think they'll take it personally.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to be done with the UFL, and we're going to move on north of the border this time. We're going to go talk about CFL Week 1. That's right. As we mentioned up top, if you want a little more in-depth conversation, go check out our YouTube video, CFL Weekly. It's the Week 1 recap. But here we're going to just quickly go through the games. On Thursday night, the Montreal Alouettes, the defending Grey Cup champions, defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 27-12. Their opponent from that same game, 200 days to the day.
Yeah.
That the game was played between the Grey Cup and Week 1. Little surprise, as we mentioned, that the Alouettes pulled this one out. I mean, even more of a surprise that the Blue Bombers looked as rough as they did.
Yeah, normally
opening game jitters.
The Blue Bombers are good from the start of the season to the end. I mean, they're just a really solid team, and it was a surprise that they couldn't get anything going in this game. But hats off to Montreal. Last year was not the fluke everybody was saying it was, because they had a terrible record going into the playoffs, but they beat some good teams and wound up with the championship.
Yes, they did. And then Friday night saw the Calgary Stampeders get their 700th franchise victory of all time against the Hamilton Tiger Cats in a 32-24 victory. Calgary, this was a fun game too. Kind of back and forth. Both defenses had moments, both offenses had moments, but at the end of the day, Jake Mayer, the quarterback of the Stampeders, and that team just looked pretty dang good.
Yep. It's not just the 700 wins for Calgary. It's nobody else in the CFL has ever had 700
That's
wins.
why it's a big deal.
So that's a CFL record. The first team in the CFL to reach 700 wins.
Do you know what everybody else is behind it?
No, I have no idea.
See, that would have been some information probably to have brought up, Mr.
I didn't
Researcher.
see it anywhere.
There's got to be somewhere to find that information.
I'm sure it's buried somewhere on there.
Because I would not have guessed for as long as the Argonauts have been around.
True, that's very true. I mean, the Argonauts.
Oh, the Argonauts not cracked 700
Yeah,
wins.
I mean, the Calgary Stampeders, they've only been around since like 1954, and the Argonauts can trace their lineage back to 1869, I believe. So, yeah, but that's what they're saying, is that the first team in the CFL to reach 700 wins. I know you're frantically trying to find it on your phone. I am frantically. I don't know if you'll find it or not.
I don't know if I will either. Probably do a lot of searching.
We'll talk about it on our CFL podcast next week.
Oh, next week? Okay. Well, we'll see about that. All right. Actually, I think, did I just find it here? Regular season record from 1907 to the present. It looks like Edmonton might have 696 wins. Yep. Calgary with 700. Winnipeg has 696. Montreal has 528 wins. Hamilton has 687 wins. British Columbia 573 wins. Calgary has that doesn't make any sense. Or was there another Calgary team that only played for
I can't recall another team in Calgary.
Okay, well, we'll keep moving on. The Argonauts have 680 wins to 720 losses. I didn't see that coming. Saskatchewan's got 614. Ottawa has 512. And then there's some other Montreal, the Las Vegas Posse. Like, I'm just going through. They got so many teams. The Vancouver Grizzlies, another Hamilton team. So, yeah, so it's very interesting that the Argos only got 680.
Yeah.
But, we'll be talking about a couple other teams, I would assume, this year that could crack 700 as well. Sure, yeah. So that'll be something else. All right. Moving on, after that little distraction, the Saskatchewan Roughriders defeated the Edmonton Elks 29-21. Saskatchewan quarterback Trevor Harris surpasses 30,000 career passing yards. So a couple big milestones this week in the CFL. It's pretty nice for opening your season.
Yep, good for him.
And then on Sunday, the Toronto Argonauts defeated the British Columbia Lions, and probably the best game of the weekend, in my opinion.
I think so.
35-27. Yeah, we didn't really deem a game of the week. That was something I thought we need to add to the show, like in our game of the week.
Yeah, you thought the Saskatchewan highlights were really good.
Originally, yeah, that was until the Argonauts game happened, and the Argos game was good. But yeah, I like the Saskatchewan game too.
Yeah, their quarterback, Cameron Dukes.
Yeah,
for
filling in for
Toronto,
Chad Kelly. Yeah,
he looked really good. I mean, I think he played a little bit last year as a backup.
Yeah.
But he looked as the game got
he got
went
better
along,
as the game
he
went
got
along.
better, and
Yeah.
he was really good at
because
the
you
end.
could tell. I think he was kind of out over his skis a little bit towards the beginning of the game, maybe with jitters, starting the season.
Yeah,
But who knows? Maybe he'll be a guy to supplant
he
Chad
ran
Kelly.
the ball
We'll
well.
see.
He passed
He
well.
was a multi-threat guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he was fun to watch. So
3 touchdowns, no interceptions, had the highest passer rating of everybody in the CFL in week 1. So kudos to him.
I wasn't sure how Toronto was going to be this year.
Same.
Starting their backup quarterback.
How many games is Chad Kelly out for?
I want to say at least 6. I'm not sure. It might be more than that.
Be very interesting.
So-
And then we'll be at the Argonauts' next home game because they have a bye this week.
Right.
So that'll be fun. And then on bye this week in week 1, the Ottawa Red Blacks. All right, then we got a few news items here. In a press release by Commissioner Randy Ambrosie last week, the CFL teams now have the option to use or not use microchip implanted footballs for kicking plays. Teams will decide at the beginning of the game whether to use microchip implanted balls or technology-free balls during the game. We talked about that a little bit on the show.
Right. Didn't know they were using chips in the
had no
footballs
idea.
up there, but evidently they are, and they're made in the same place that
You brought
the
that
NFL
up.
balls are made on the plant in Ada, Ohio.
Yep.
So it would just make sense if they're putting them in the NFL balls, they put them in the CFL balls.
And another story we added in the other show, 40,000 tickets have been sold for the Grey Cup in Vancouver already. So the capacity for BC Place, which is where the game will be held, is 54,500.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I'm sure they'll sell it out.
It's just a matter of time.
It's just a
for it,
matter
so
of time.
How soon they will.
Yeah. And then one story that we're adding that we did not talk about on the other show, CTV Network added to CFL coverage. They've added 7 games, all on Saturdays, beginning in September. The deal includes the Eastern Conference playoffs and the Grey Cup. So this is a network that's only in Canada.
It's like an over the air. And years ago, I mean, CTV used to be the main channel for all your CFL games. And TSN, who has it now, it'd be like going from Fox, CBS.
I mean, going from ESPN to...
Right. But what I'm saying is that CTV was like Fox or CBS or NBC here in this country. And years ago, they took it away from them and they gave it to TSN, which would be like ESPN. Right. So you had to have cable and this and that. And I know that was a big uproar over that. And so now they're giving some games back to CTV, so it's going to be on over-the-air broadcasts.
Interesting.
Up there. So that's kind of the shift there. Like I said, they do get the Eastern Conference playoffs and the Grey Cup game, so you'll be able to watch that on 2 different networks up in Canada now. So that was a big thing when it went to TSN and CTV wasn't involved anymore. Now CTV is back. All right. Let's move on to the Arena Football League. This was Week 7. On Saturday night, the Salina Liberty defeated Adam's favorite Washington Wolfpack team by the score of 42-7.
Oh, make it stop.
On Saturday, the Nashville Cats upset the undefeated Billings Outlaws on the road by the score of 57-54. I did not see any of this game, of course. I was busy all Saturday, but
what a
surprise!
End of the game, yeah,
because I was there to see them last week, and the Cats have played well, but they just can't seem to finish out a game. Man, they sure did this time, and what a way to do it on the road against an undefeated team.
They still had to make a comeback. They've done comebacks in the last couple of games, but they just couldn't close it out. They finally did.
Yeah,
and heck of a team they beat too, in the previously unbeaten Outlaws.
Yeah. And I guess they had a new starting quarterback this week, and that made all the difference. Their new quarterback is Randy Hippard, who played in the Arena Football League from 2013 to 2019 with the Tampa Bay Storm, Orlando Predators, Baltimore Brigade, and the Atlantic City Blackjacks.
Wow.
Atlantic City Blackjacks. So he knows what he's doing in the AFL. He just hasn't played in a while, but no rust on that guy. He came out and beat an undefeated team, so good for him. Let's see, also on Saturday, The Albany Firebirds improved to 7-0 with a win over the West Texas Desert Hawks, 73-70 in overtime. But since then, Desert Hawks head coach Chris Siegfried has said that he is no longer with the team. I'm assuming there's no other details on this, but the team did start out 3-0, and lately they've been 0-4. So I guess the team felt it was time for a change at the leadership.
I guess so.
Why wouldn't you let him finish out the season?
I don't know. Especially, I mean, they've been so close to winning these games. Why not just stick with the guy? He made a couple of comments on Twitter or X, and it does make it sound like, ownership just wasn't happy with 4 straight losses. Granted, they lost some really close games to 2 of the best teams in the league.
Yep.
So, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, they probably could have come out with at least 1 or 2 wins in there, but, I mean, it happens. It's arena football, and they just lost a couple of shootouts. So.
You scored 70 points on the Firebirds, who were 6-0 at the time.
Yeah.
Now they're 7-0, and you scored 70 points on them. Yeah. Lose by 3. That's a shame. I think he should have at least had the chance to finish out the season.
And who knows? Maybe some other upstart arena teams or indoor teams will be looking at this guy and bringing him in.
Could be.
I think he put together a decent team there. It's just a matter of them closing out some games.
Yeah. And then finally on Sunday in the Arena Football League, it was the Southwest Kansas Storm over the Wichita Regulators, 35-12. And on bye this week were the Orlando Predators.
For the second straight week.
Yeah. There were a couple of news items. Jerry Kurz has been named the General Counsel and Senior Advisor of Player Operations for the Arena Football League. Kurz helped found the league along with Jim Foster, and he served as the AFL commissioner at one time, and he was president of the AF2, the AFL's developmental league. He was inducted as an inaugural member of the AFL's Hall of Fame in 1998. This gives me hope for the future.
It does.
A guy that helped build this league, who knows what this league stands for, is now back in an active role and helping to point the way to a successful completion of this season and beyond.
This is the kind of hire that should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah.
Under the previous...
who shall not be named.
Yeah, previous leadership. But I think now they've course corrected and they're starting to, and we'll talk about another guy here who they probably should have also talked to when getting things rolling. But the official Arena Football League podcast did post a really good interview with Jerry Kurz.
Yes, I did watch that.
I got to finally listen to that because they put the show up on YouTube and then the next day it's on the podcast feed, so I could listen to it when I was driving. Jerry Kurz had a lot of interesting things to say. He definitely sounds pretty confident. I mean, but I would take that for what you will. I mean, it could just all be for show, but I took it as a very genuine kind of message he was trying to put out there.
Sure.
And, I've been a little ambitious talking about wanting to bring the AF2 back right now, especially after the way this first season's gone.
Right.
I think you could pump the brakes on. I know he wasn't saying it's happening immediately.
No.
But the fact that that's
a long range plan.
If by long range you mean in 2 or 3 years, that's not long range. That's a little quick for me. But we'll see what happens. Let's get some established teams first before we start doing a developmental thing. But I like that idea. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to see the F2 come back.
I would love to see that come back too. But we'll get there. But yeah, great signing. Great getting this guy as a part of your league.
That was just one signing that gave me a lot of hope for the future. Another one, Gary Compton was named the director of football operations for the league. He played wide receiver and linebacker in the AFL for 14 seasons from 1992 to 2004 with a couple different teams, the Dallas Texans, the Fort Worth Cavalry, Milwaukee Mustangs, Indiana Firebirds, the Grand Rapids Rampage for a season, the Tampa Bay Storm, and the Philadelphia Soul.
See, I don't remember him playing with Grand Rapids.
I think he was just one season, or part of one season.
So I remember him when he was with Milwaukee. He was always that guy with crap, we got to cover Compton. And I believe the year the Rampage won the Arena Bowl was the year he won the Iron Man Award. He got presented that at the halftime or something at the Arena Football 15, Arena Bowl 15, I believe. So
but he also spent some time coaching in the AFL too. So he's another person who's very well steeped in the tradition of the Arena Football League. I think that was an excellent pickup for them. And then there was
if you want to hear a good interview with him, Arena Fan did do an interview with him several weeks ago.
Yes,
which when you heard him talk, it was brought up, like, why were you ever contacted by the league? He said he tried to contact the league, but they never got back to him. So he wanted to be involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing somebody at the league office must have watched that interview, because then they brought him in an official capacity, which I think is another step in the right direction.
Yes, exactly. And another one, a lady by the name of Tracy Leinman, Leinam, Leinen.
Leanin?
Was named president of football administration. Her background, not much. She just spent 23 years in the National Football League, focused on football operations and team logistics.
All right, well,
There you go.
Tracy, not familiar with her, but
That's a pretty impressive resume.
they've got a few, that's 3 big resumes this past week that they've added to, the front office or the, league office kind of roles, and very excited about that.
Mhm.
We'll see where that all goes in the future, but it gives me a little bit of hope. I know we're still trying to get through the end of this season, but
Right.
it makes me very hopeful for another season.
Yes, exactly. All right, let's take a quick look at the Arena Football League standings. In first place is the Albany Firebirds at 7-0, Billings Outlaws 5-1, Salina Liberty 4-2, Orlando Predators 3-2.
But they should be 2-2. I don't understand that on the league's
I'm
website.
going by exactly what
I know,
the
yeah,
league
that's what the league's
says.
website has, but they have literally only played 4 games. I have not heard anything about a forfeit win, so I don't know where this third win's coming from. I'm just saying.
Okay. Let's see. Southwest Kansas Storm at 4-3, Nashville Cats at 3-4, West Texas Desert Hawks at 3-4, Wichita Regulators at 1-4, and the Washington Wolfpack at 1-5. That comes from the official website.
Yeah, I'm still curious about that Orlando Predators situation. I still have not gotten a good answer on that. I thought about hitting up our buddy Tim and seeing if he knew anything, but I don't know. I always hate bugging Tim. I know he says it's cool to message him, but I'm still always leery about sending him a message.
Oh, and I had an article published on Arena Fan.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Just like last night.
Yeah.
I think it was last night.
My name kept getting brought up in it. I wasn't a fan of that.
But it was basically a story about how we tried to go to a game in Minneapolis, and
So pretty much, if you follow this podcast, you've already heard that chronicled in audio form.
And then how I went to the game by myself without you. So I think it was called "What's a guy have to do to attend an arena football game?" Because we tried once, got shot down, and then the second time I was able to go, but you weren't able to go. So, but yeah, that's it. That's the first article I've had since 2019 on Arena Fan. It felt kind of good to put my thoughts down on paper again and send that to him. So,
well, I mean, even then it wasn't paper; it was digital and all that stuff.
Speaking metaphorically.
All right. Well, speaking literally, we're going to move on to the Indoor Football League. It was week 13 in that league, and we had a healthy slate of games this past weekend, starting with many. Actually, it looks like the entire slate happened on Saturday.
All of them.
The Green Bay Blizzard defeated the Massachusetts Pirates 36-33. The Jacksonville Sharks won a narrow one against the Tulsa Oilers 45-42. Another game just by a field goal. Imagine this. Another close game as the San Antonio Gunslingers squeaked by the Duke City Gladiators 46-45. The Quad City Steamwheelers barely got out of Frisco, Texas against the Frisco Fighters 52-49. The Sioux Falls Storm got a victory over the Vegas Nighthawks 46-40. The Arizona Rattlers also squeaked by the San Antonio Strikeforce 47-46. And your lone blowout of the week belongs to the Bay Area Panthers, who destroyed the Tucson Sugar Skulls 51-12. All those games, all but one game, were decided by a touchdown or less, and many by 3 points or less. Like, what a good weekend of Indoor Football League football.
Exactly.
My only bummer with this league, as we've mentioned week in and week out, is them not getting those highlight packages up till, like, I feel like Wednesday, if they have any. Like, if I don't see it pop up, I usually just almost forget about it. And it usually feels like it's after we're done with this show that they finally get those highlights up, when it's like, it's Tuesday already. Those games, you had all those games happen Saturday, and I still haven't seen the highlights. And if they're doing something different, somebody let me know if there's another way to watch all the highlights without having to just scrub through all the games individually. But I would like to talk a little bit more about the Indoor Football League, especially considering how awesome of a job they've been doing all year and all last year and the year before that. On bye this week, the Iowa Barnstormers and Northern Arizona Wranglers. Now we're going to look at the standings in the East. The Green Bay Blizzards sit at the top with a 9-2 record, followed by the 8-3 Frisco Fighters. Then you got the 6-5 Massachusetts Pirates, the Quad City Steamwheelers at 5-5, the 3-8 Tulsa Oilers. Then you have the Iowa Barnstormers and Sioux Falls Storm sitting at 3-7, and the Jacksonville Sharks with a 2-8 record. In the West, you have the Bay Area Panthers with an impressive 9-1 record, followed by the 7-3 Vegas Nighthawks and Northern Arizona Wranglers. Then you have the Arizona Rattlers at 7-4, the San Diego Strike Force at 6-5, the San Antonio Gunslingers evening their record to 5-5, the Tucson Sugar Skulls fall to 2-8, and then the Duke City Gladiators, who got their lone win last week, at 1-9.
So all but 2 teams in the West have a 500 record or better.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. And for San Antonio, remember when they started off pretty sluggish? I think they were like 0-3, 0-4 at one point. They've been able to rip off a few games in a row. So now the Gunslingers, who just jumped over to the Indoor Football League from the National Arena League, starting to get their stuff worked out. And I'm kind of pulling for the Gunslingers to make some noise once the IFL hits their playoffs.
All right, we're going to move on to the AIF, American Indoor Football. This was week 12 in that league. The only game didn't count in the standings.
Oh my gosh, let's just be done with this league. Have we even talked about one meaningful game from this league in weeks?
No, they've only got one more game next week.
Oh my God,
and
let's
that's
just
it for the
scrap them. We could save the airtime.
Yeah, but it's on Saturday was the Columbus Lions destroying the Peach State Cats from the American Arena League 2 by the score of 62-12 in an exhibition.
Jeez, if we had $1 for every time we talked about the Peach State Cats.
They've played a couple of teams. I don't know if they played the Columbus Lions, but they played somebody in the AIF.
Yeah, that was the Cobras.
Season.
Yeah, earlier this year. Yep, we talked about that.
So they're getting their butts kicked again by somebody in the AIF. And on by the Harrisburg Stampede, Corpus Christi Tritons, and the Amarillo Venom.
AKA the entire league was on by.
Right, so no change in the standings. Columbus is still at the top at 5-0, Corpus Christi 4-1, Harrisburg Stampede 1-3, Amarillo Venom 1-4.
Why do we even bother?
Yeah, we'll be done with them in a week or so.
It can't happen soon enough. All right, we're going to move on to the National Arena League. It was week 13, a.k.a. the end of their regular season.
Mm-hmm.
On Saturday, saw the Omaha Beef defeat the Carolina Cobras 54-31 for the Beef to go 8-0 on the season. Then, also on Saturday, the Colorado Spartans got a victory over the Idaho Horsemen 36-26. And then on bye, the Sioux City Bandits. Now looking at the National Arena League standings, you have the Omaha Beef at 8-0, the Carolina Cobras at 5-4, the Sioux City Bandits at 5-3, the Colorado Spartans at 4-5, and the Idaho Horsemen at 1-7. And what's the deal with the playoffs? If they're done with their regular season, are they doing just the championship?
There was no word on their website on what the format or who was going to be playing who or dates or anything. They might have something up now, but as last time I looked on their website, there was no playoff information. It would be coming soon.
Bizarre, because we were talking before, because I thought that the championship game was this week. I thought they just ended their season and they went straight to a championship game, because I could have swore I saw a graphic that said the
Omaha Beef?
No, the Sioux City Bandits defeated the Beef in the championship game. I swear I saw that somewhere. It might have been fake, but yeah, as far as I know, I haven't seen anything about how their playoffs are going to be structured. Oh, it looks like is that the championship game? They have one game right now on their ticker at the top that says Sioux City against Omaha. Those are the top 2 teams. I wonder if that's your championship game. I have not seen.
It could be.
Yeah, so until maybe next week we'll be talking about an NAL championship game.
I don't know.
The National Arena League has been another league that's just got a load of issues. So I expect the Beef and maybe even the Cobras to jump ship to a different league next year. We'll see.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of changes this offseason, I think.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the Arena League, not related to the Arena Football League, but the Arena League. This was week 2. They had one game. The Kansas City Goats defeated the Iowa Woo by the score of 91-56.
Now, before you get all impressed about that score, I finally watched this league.
Mm-hmm.
And, we talked about they have 6 players per side.
Right.
How does that work?
No kickers.
Yep.
The one thing I did see, I watched a little bit of one of the games. Instead of a kickoff, they have a throw off.
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, they have one player, obviously the quarterback probably, in the end zone, and he has to stay behind the goal line, and he just throws the ball as far as he can down the field, and then they take it and run back with it. So it's a throw off, not a kickoff.
If you have a quarterback that can't throw that ball out of the arena, like what are you doing?
Well,
but the thing I took away from it was watching and seeing the fact that they have one lineman, a center. It's like a 7-on-7 drill in an outdoor league practice. It was so weird to watch. And I was watching, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. The guy snaps the ball, then all of a sudden you got 2-3 guys already barreling down on the quarterback. Like, what?
Yeah.
It just made no sense. It looked unappealing. I know we'll probably still keep talking about the scores the rest of the year, but I'm going to tell you right now, even though that game was 91-56, I was not impressed by what I saw. I was not. It just looked, maybe I got to get used to watching it. Like you mentioned last week, we used to have 7-on-7 football in the Continental Indoor Football League, or the Great Lakes Indoor Football League that played in the
both of them were
in the
7
area,
on 7.
Which was different. And
so all it was one less receiver, but you still had 3 down linemen, and you just had one less receiver going out.
To get rid of 2 linemen and have one guy, it was just weird, and I don't know. I don't see this league really lasting.
Yeah. But on bye were the other 2 teams this week. I don't know why they have a bye already. The Duluth Harbor Monsters and the Ozarks Lunkers were on bye.
Yeah.
So, we'll have some more scores next week. But more than scores, that's all you're going to get out of us probably on this league.
All right. Well, we're going to jump over to the Women's Football Alliance that was currently in week 4 of their season. And, I like that on their YouTube channel, they do have one game that they've been highlighting, or at least that I keep getting recommended. Like, hey, this week's women's football highlighted game is this.
Okay.
But I think this week was, you got it right in here. I was going to talk about that game because that's a big deal. But first, we're going to talk about how the East Tennessee Valkyries shut out the Music City Misfits, spelled Mizfits.
Misfits.
8-0.
Woo.
Yep. And then the Central Valley Chaos defeated the Oregon Cougars 14-8. I wonder if their logo is a picture of Kim Kardashian. We're going to talk about Cougars. But all jokes aside, congratulations, Central Valley. But the game that should be on everybody's lips is the Pittsburgh Passion defeating the Boston Renegades 26-21.
These are 2 of the best teams in the league.
Yep, and we, not to brag, but we did get to meet co-owners of the Pittsburgh Passion last summer, and they were, pun not intended, they are very passionate about that team, their girls, and the women's football in general.
Yep.
And you go up against a team like the Boston Renegades who've won 5 straight titles.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've been undefeated the entire time. I feel like this has got to be one of their first losses a long time.
Yeah, but when I saw that the Passion beat the Renegades, I knew I had to add that score, regardless of, mainly I'm just going by the team name right now because, it's kind of fairly early in the season, and I just wanted to highlight a bunch of different teams. But the Passion and the Renegades have been staples in the women's
creme de la creme
football for
if
many
you will.
years, and
yes,
to see them on the field together and for the Passion to come out with a win over Boston. That was a big deal.
When I saw, I think I got a flyer somewhere. It was either on Facebook or somewhere. I follow the Passions on one of those platforms. When I saw the flyer that they were playing the Renegades in Pittsburgh, I was like, man, that would have been the women's football game to go to. Mm-hmm. I would have loved to have gone to that game. But, hey, good for them getting that victory. Yep. So that's pretty awesome.
All right, we're going to move on to the European League of Football now. This was week 3 in their season. And we're going to start out on Saturday with, I think, 3 games, and then 3 or 4 games on Sunday. The Madrid Bravos defeated the Rhine Fire by the score of 22-10.
Yeah, Madrid began this game. Madrid was up 15-0. Then Rhine scored 10 unanswered points, but they just couldn't get the lead at all. So Madrid just held on to that lead all game long. And the loss for the Fire snaps a 16-game winning streak, including their playoffs, that dates back. because they were undefeated last season, so to the season before that. So 2022 was the last time the Fire had lost a game, if I remember correctly, doing my research and writing down my notes. Because I got notes on all these games that you're about to bring out.
Okay, another game on Saturday. The Raiders Triol from Austria, not Australia, Austria, defeated the Barcelona Dragons 63-7. Wow,
Yeah,
what a beatdown.
That score is indicative of everything. The Raiders just put on a clinic in this game. That's pretty much my only note, was watching this game with my head in my hands, just like, oh my gosh, the Raiders are just laying it on. But then there is one news item, right?
Okay, yep. The European League of Football has launched an investigation into the Barcelona Dragons for possibly using an illegal player. I don't know if it was just last week or the whole season.
It was for that game.
Just for that game, okay.
Yep. So I don't know how that works. We'll see if that ever, comes out.
Okay.
But it's interesting. The last couple of weeks, the ELF have put out statements like that, trying to stay ahead of stuff. But I don't know. I don't know what could possibly make a player, ineligible for a game. I mean,
I don't know.
I have no idea. I'm sure we'll find out.
Okay. And then the final game on Saturday, the Milano Seamen over the Helvetic Mercenaries of Switzerland by the score of 14-7. This was the first win of the season for Milano. They had a bye in week 1 and they lost last week.
Oh, who's Milano? I thought they were the Seamen. Or are you trying to avoid saying that? The Seamen.
I said the Milano Seamen.
You just said Milano.
The second time I didn't have to use the.
Okay, I'm just saying you were avoiding the word. I mean, the Seamen did a really good job. Here
we go.
They completed the game. They got their win. I sent you the image after they won because you were at your baseball game, and I sent you the thing. You're like, "Yay, they won!" And I turned to my girlfriend. I was like, "Man, my dad really loves the Seamen. He really does. He's so happy that they won." Kudos to them. This was a very defensive game, though. The Seaman defense came to play.
Speaking of getting a little defensive, we need to stop this conversation and move on to the next.
Team. I'm just trying to hype up the Seaman here because it was a very low-scoring game. But I'm not kidding when I said that Milano's defense, was a big difference maker. I know they fired their offensive coordinator last week.
Yes, they did.
It looks like they could still use somebody to call that offense, but defense-wise, not a problem. So good for the Seaman. They really, stuck it to the Mercenaries and came out with that victory. A coming out party of sorts.
On Sunday in the ELF, it was the Paris Musketeers over the Frankfurt Galaxy, 25-22.
Why are you laughing?
I don't know. You got any jokes about Frankfurt?
Nope. Don't make fun of my team.
All right. Any other notes on this game?
There were 4 missed field goals in this game, and I believe they were all by the Galaxy. I mean, they lost by a field goal. So, I mean, you make those field goals during the game, it's a totally different outcome. But, I mean, Frankfurt, they came to play. I mean, they had a couple of really bad botched plays in there, too, that didn't help. But, they were in it to the end. But kudos to the Paris Musketeers. It was a home game for them. They had a couple of really good stops. So all these highlights, there's always something. They're entertaining, every single one. It doesn't matter if it's a blowout or not, but they've all been interesting games.
Well, Frankfurt, if you're looking for a kicker, keep your hands off Jake Bates because he's all ours.
Yes.
You don't get him.
That's fine.
All right, another game on Sunday was the Berlin Thunder over the Fehérvar Enthroners of Hungary by the score of 43-3.
Yeah, if you watch this, at least watch it for the highlight of their kick returner, number 4, Jackson, for the Berlin Thunder, who returned a 90-yard kick return for a touchdown. It was pretty awesome. At one point, because they do it the XFL style, so he catches it and he's behind all those guys, and he kind of goes forward, and then he loops around back. He runs about 5 or 10 yards backwards, maybe not that bad, but 5 yards backwards, 8 yards backwards, loops around and then goes back up and just finds a seam and cuts across the field and gets the touchdown. It's a hell of a highlight if you get a chance to check that out.
Sounds interesting, yeah. Let's see, another game on Sunday. It was the Vienna Vikings over the Wrocław Panthers of Poland by the score of 16-3, or 16-13, I'm sorry.
Yep, 16-13. Vikings defense produced a sack fumble in the end zone for a touchdown and got a safety at the end of the game to seal that up. Otherwise, the Panthers did have control on that game, but yeah, those 2 big mistakes there helped the Vikings come out on top.
Yep, and we were corrected on how to pronounce the. It looks like Roclaw when you read it, but it's Vrashlav.
Yep, for the last couple of weeks. So unless somebody wants to help our pronunciation even a little more, like we're trying our best here.
Yeah, phonetically, what you wrote down is what somebody sent to you. Vrashlav.
Vrashlav.
Okay.
Vrashlav.
And finally, on Sunday, the Munich Ravens defeated the Prague Lions 51-7.
Oh, they defeated. They put a shellacking on the poor Prague Lions. These guys just couldn't get anything going. The Ravens, I mean, they just got a heck of a bunch of group of guys that everybody was making plays, it seemed, left and right. Defense, offense, special teams, you name it. The Ravens seemed like they could do it. But the one highlight I'll talk about from this game did not belong to those Ravens. It was the lone touchdown by the Prague Lions because they were already down 51-0. But running back Adam Zozelka had a 67-yard touchdown run to get the lone touchdown for the Prague Lions. Wow. He really had to work for it. It's not like it was a gimme, but he just got that ball, ran through a few guys, and found open field and scored that touchdown. That was a good highlight. I'm pretty sure if you follow the ELF on X, they singled out that particular highlight. So go check it out.
Okay, and then on bye this week, the Stuttgart Surge, the Hamburg Sea Devils, and the Cologne Centurions. All right, now we're going to move to the NFL. Lucas Oil Stadium, home of the Indianapolis Colts, has set up 3 temporary swimming pools on the field in order to host the Olympic swimming trials, June 15th through the 23rd. There's a really cool time-lapse photography of these pools going up, and I can't believe that they put swimming pools in the middle of the stadium. It's so cool looking, and I can't wait to see it on TV. And watch some of these swimming trials just from the fact that they're playing on a football field.
Yeah.
This is going to be pretty cool. Let's see. Some news also came out this week in the NFL. Kyle Brandt said that he is returning to Good Morning Football when the show comes back in a month or two. But Jason McCourty has come out and said he will not be staying with the show. So, we weren't sure. I assumed Kyle Brandt was going to be there. I mean, when he left the New York studios, he was like running off into the sunset with a football under his arm, and he kind of hinted that he'd be running into Los Angeles eventually. So, but Jason McCourty, not gonna remain with the show.
So now we just gotta wait on if Peter Schrager's coming back. And
I'm pretty sure he is. It seems like I did hear that he was, but there was but these both came out this week. Okay. Kyle Brandt and Jason McCourty. So I don't know. They might have other things. Maybe they'll be talking about some new people being added to the show in the weeks to come. I don't know. But if they do, we'll talk about it. The Detroit Lions, our beloved Detroit Lions, had to forfeit the final day of their 3-day organized off-season workouts after breaking rules related to on-field contact during a practice the week of May 27th. You were telling me that that practice would have been this past Monday?
It was, yesterday it was supposed to be. Okay. So they forfeited yesterday's OTA practice.
Okay.
So I think they self-reported themselves, which I think is weird. So like, you knew you were breaking a rule, but you did it anyway? It just makes no sense.
I don't know.
Or was Dan Campbell just getting a little too carried away and saying, hit harder, guys?
I don't know. I hadn't heard that they self-reported that.
That's what I understood it to be, but I could have misunderstood.
Yeah. But it just takes me back to that old Al Bundy line where he says, "It's only cheating if you get caught."
Oh, and then if you get caught, I'm sure the sanctions would have been a lot worse. So I think by self-reporting or getting it taken care of now, all they had to do was forfeit 1 day of OTAs. So that's fine.
They probably figured we got everything we wanted in.
It's anyway. A nothing burger. I'm not worried about it. It's not going to impact the season. So
nothing burger?
It's a nothing burger, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. The Minnesota Vikings have unveiled their Winter Warrior uniforms.
Yeah, they're all white.
All white. Even the logo is just outlined in purple.
Yeah.
And it's all white.
That's my biggest problem with this whole uniform. I thought the jerseys were kind of cool.
Too much white.
They kind of tweaked the font. I liked it. But the white shell was fine. But the fact that they kept the white horn, like what? It's a white on white, and it just looks bad. Like they couldn't even give it like a silver polish. They couldn't have made it a different color, like a purple, just to kind of stick out on the helmet. Like I don't know. It seemed like that's my biggest problem with it. But
maybe an actual horn color, like a tan or whatever the color of an actual horns from a Viking helmet look like.
I mean, other than that, I mean, it is a snazzy uniform. Very simple, though. I mean, it's an all-white uniform. What can you really do with it? But I didn't think it looked terrible, but not my first choice.
I'll let you do this next, this last NFL story
Oh,
because you're totally into this, and
well,
I'm
okay. I
not.
know you're not a big video game person, Randy, so I'll take it away here. 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey is our Madden NFL 25 cover athlete.
Yours, not mine.
Who was your cover athlete? You don't even play the video games.
I don't care, but he's not my.
Go back to
cover
leaning away from the mic. All right, let me do this one. So, as those who have played the video game might remember, Barry Sanders actually previously appeared on Madden NFL 25 back in 2014. Why was it called Madden NFL 25 in 2014, you ask? Well, that was the 25th anniversary of Madden, so Barry Sanders got to cover that But the fact that they're reusing NFL 25 is going to be confusing for some people. And now you have some people saying, like Randy, which I think unintentionally made the joke that not my cover athlete or not my Madden NFL 25 because mine had Barry Sanders on it. But this is also interesting because back in Madden NFL 12, it featured Peyton Hillis, the running back for the Cleveland Browns at the time. That was the last active running back to be featured on the cover of the Madden franchise. So it's been 13 years without an active running back on the cover, not including Adrian Peterson, who did grace the same year that Barry did the 25th anniversary, but he was like an alternate, like special edition cover that they did for like next gen consoles. I'm speaking complete gibberish to Randy right now. He looks lost.
That's just fascinating.
But I just think it's interesting that Christian McCaffrey is the running back to do it when we've had a bunch of other great running backs over the years that deserve to probably be a cover athlete like a Saquon Barkley I guess that's it. Saquon Barkley's been the best running back the last couple of years. But I don't know. I would have been cool with like a couple of athletes. I'm
Diggs and Montgomery from Detroit. Put the two of them.
You mean Gibbs?
Gibbs, I'm sorry.
Not Diggs.
Gibbs
Gosh.
and Montgomery.
I thought for sure it was going to be a Justin Jefferson or a Joe Burrow was going to end up on the cover this year, but they went running back after going quarterback last year. So, well, we'll see. And my goal is still to get Randy to play the Madden game for the first time ever and get it on video and make a fun video for everybody.
Good luck.
Yep. Yeah, good luck to you for getting out of it. You have obligations now that we're about to hit 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah, I do. I got some things I need to do to get that set up.
Yep.
Let's see. Moving on to college. College football playoffs will begin December 20th of this year with 4 games in the first round. Then those will be on December 20th and December 21st. The quarterfinal round will be played during the Sugar Bowl, Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, and Fiesta Bowl on December 31st and January 1st. The semifinal round will be the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl on January 9th and 10th, and the national championship game will be played in Atlanta on Monday, January 20th.
Yep.
Any reaction to the playoff schedule being
I'm
released?
A little surprised that like the Rose Bowl at least wasn't one of your semifinal games. Maybe that'll be something that rotates every year.
I'm sure they'll rotate them around every year.
Because I feel like the Rose Bowl and the Cotton Bowl should probably be your two conference, the semifinal games, really. But they're probably going to rotate them, so I won't get too mad right now. Which bowl game do you think our Western Michigan Broncos are going to make it to?
If they go to the Idaho Potato Bowl again, I will be upset. But I mean, at least they'll be in a bowl game.
I guess so. Well, don't worry. And when that college football game comes out, I'll get Western Michigan to the playoff. Okay. Don't you worry. Maybe I'll make a YouTube video about it.
In some other NCAA news, the NCAA Playing Rules Oversight Panel approved a recommendation allowing for corporate advertisements during regular season games to be placed in 3 spots on the field. A single advertisement centered on the 50-yard line, along with no more than 2 smaller flanking advertisements elsewhere on the field. It can be done on a game-by-game basis or for the entire season. This applies to FBS, FCS, Division II, and Division III games, and I think it's just a way for them to let the schools earn a little extra money, as if they're not making enough.
I was just going to say, as if they've had money issues.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, now we can pay our players? Oh, crap, we probably should get some sponsors now.
Yeah, we better get some sponsors in here and use that money to pay the players on the field. So.
Jeez.
But yeah, it applies to like I said, everybody in Division I, Division II, and Division III. All right, let's see. Got 4 birthdays today. Fairly big name birthdays. First, fullback and halfback Johnny Bright, born on this date in 1930. He passed away in 1987 at the age of 53. He played his college football at Drake University. You may remember this. I think we did a history lesson on this, not a video, but a audio history lesson. He had his jaw broken in a racially motivated dirty play in a game versus Oklahoma A&M, which is now Oklahoma State, back in 1951, that made national headlines. He was African American and playing a team from Oklahoma, and they didn't like playing against an African American. After that, I think he was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles, but he figured, why should I, subject myself to more racism there? So he decided to go up to Canada, where they're a lot more tolerant of those types of things. He played 1 season with the Calgary Stampeders in 1952, and then he played for the Edmonton Eskimos from 1953 to 1962 and won 3 straight Grey Cup titles with Edmonton from 1954 to 1956. So he had a great career up there. He stayed in Edmonton, became a school teacher, I think, there, and stayed there the rest of his life. Let's see. Quarterback Joe Montana turns 68 today.
Never heard of him.
He played his college football at a little school called Notre Dame, and he was the 3rd round pick in the 1979 NFL draft by the 49ers. See, a lot of people talk about Tom Brady being selected in like the 6th round or whatever. Before Brady, it was Joe Montana, like a 3rd round quarterback. How is he going to be a starter someday? And he turned into be one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. But they had to wait till the 3rd round to get him back in the day. But yeah, he sure turned out to be a good one. Drafted by the 49ers. He played for the 49ers from 79 to 92. He missed the 91 season due to an elbow injury. He finished his playing career with the Kansas City Chiefs in 93 and 1994. He won 4 Super Bowls with San Francisco and was named the Super Bowl MVP 3 times and was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 2000. Also, Coach Vince Lombardi, born on this date in 1913. He passed away in 1970 at the age of 57, which is actually kind of young when you think about it. He was one of the 7 blocks of granite when he played at Fordham University. He was the New York Giants offensive coordinator from 54 to 58, then became the head coach of the Packers from 59 to 67, won 5 NFL titles, including the first 2 Super Bowls, and he finished his coaching career with the Washington Redskins in 1969. A lot of people don't remember that he actually coached the Redskins 1 season. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1971. And lastly, another Hall of Famer, fullback Ernie Nevers, born on this date in 1902. He passed away in 1976 at the age of 73. Played his college football at Stanford, and his final game there, well, he lost to the Four Horsemen of Notre Dame in the 1925 Rose Bowl. He went on to play for the NFL's Duluth Eskimos from 1926 to 1927, and they actually called the team the Ernie Nevers Eskimos because he was the big star. He was the star right after Red Grange had left to start his own league, and so the NFL was looking for a new star, and it was Ernie Nevers. So they were trying to build a lot of fan support around him, so it was the Ernie Nevers Eskimos. You can see a trunk at the Pro Football Hall of Fame that says Ernie Nevers Eskimos on it. He also played for the Chicago Cardinals in 1929 to 1931. He returned to be an assistant coach at Stanford from 1932 to 1935, and he was the Chicago Cardinals head coach for a couple of seasons while he was playing in 30 and 31, and he also returned to be their head coach in 1939. And finally, he was the head coach of the AAFC Chicago Rockets in 1946. He was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame during its inaugural season in 1963.
All right, now we're going to move on to the obituary since Rainey's been talking for 20 minutes. This is where we take
Can't take it, can you?
This is where we're going to take a moment to honor those who have made the world of football a better place. And we're going to start with Doug Porter, an HBCU college football coach for 26 years, has passed away at the age of 94. Porter began his college football coaching career at Mississippi Valley State from 1961 to 1965. He also spent 9 seasons at Grambling under Eddie Robinson and then went to Howard University from 1974 to 1978. Porter was the head coach at Fort Valley State in Georgia from 1979 to 1985, and again from 1987 to 1996, posting a record of 112 wins, 66 losses, and 3 ties. While at Fort Valley, Porter was a 7-time Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Coach of the Year and was athletic director at the school for 16 years. He also had 5 losing seasons in his 26 years as a head coach. Porter was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 2008 and the Fort Valley Athletics Hall of Fame in 2009.
He only had 5 losing seasons in 26 years. That's an incredible stat. You want me to do the last one?
Sure, if you're
okay, I'm good.
You're all caught up.
I'm good.
Catch your breath. Everything.
Our last obituary is that of Marvin Upshaw, a defensive lineman in the NFL for 9 seasons, has passed away at the age of 77. Upshaw played college football at Division III Trinity University and was the 21st overall pick in the 1968 NFL Draft by the Cleveland Browns. He played in Cleveland from 1968 to 1969. Then he went on to play for the Kansas City Chiefs from 1970 to 1975, and he finished his playing career with the St. Louis Cardinals in 1976. He's the brother of former National Football League Player Association President Gene Upshaw. You may remember him.
I remember him.
All right, upcoming events calendar. This Sunday, the UFL Championship game in St. Louis, Birmingham Stallions versus the San Antonio Brahmas. On Saturday, June 22nd, the CFL's Toronto Argonauts take on the Edmonton Elks, and we will be there. Tuesday, the 25th, our 350th episode extravaganza.
Yeah, well, if you want to call it that, we'll see how fun Aaron and Kyle are going to be that day.
Yeah, that will be a video. Instead of an audio podcast, that's going to be a video.
It'll still be available on the podcast platform,
right?
But it will also be a video.
Yes, which we don't normally do on Tuesdays. Let's see. Sunday, June 30th, the Arena Football League regular season comes to an end. Friday, July 19th, EA Sports College Football video game is released. Thursday, August 1st, the Pro Football Hall of Fame game in Canton, featuring the Chicago Bears and the Houston Texans. On Saturday, August 3rd, the 2024 enshrinement ceremonies at the Hall of Fame will take place. Saturday, August 24th, Week 0 in college football. Thursday, September 5th, the NFL regular season begins with the Ravens at the Chiefs. The next day, it's on Friday, September 6th, it's the Eagles and the Packers in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I guess that game is only going to be available on Amazon Prime. And on Sunday, November 17th, the 111th Grey Cup game in Vancouver, which we are planning to attend.
Yep.
And that's it for our upcoming events calendar.
Yes, it is.
Anything else before we close out today's show?
Yep, we do have some breaking news. Now, remember at the top of the show when I said I hope to fit badminton in at some point?
Mm-hmm.
Well, unfortunately, I can't fit in badminton, but I'm going to one-up you because we're going to talk about hot dog eating. That's right. It has been breaking news. Joey Chestnut has been banned from the Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest for reported sponsorship by a rival hot dog company.
No.
The scandal. The hot dog scandal.
Well, at least he wasn't being sponsored by the Frankfurt Galaxy.
Oh, he thinks he's funny. He's not. Let's close the show.
I am funny. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week and all the puns I can think of. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we've done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube page. Just enter the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle @the World of Football, in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please come be a part of the football conversation as we inch ever closer to 1,000 subscribers.
Right, but we at 300 or 950.
Last I checked, we were at 958.
958.
Oh, it is. I have refreshed it. It is now 959. We are 41 subscribers away from hitting our goal. And
please, 41 of our listeners, tell one of your friends about it.
Tell 41 of your friends about it. Or create 41 new accounts and sign up for.
Let's see. Did we keep today's show under an hour like I wanted to?
Hell no. People sitting here listening like, nope, they didn't do it again. Hold on. Ask me if we've kept it under an hour and 10 minutes.
Did we keep it under an hour and 10 minutes?
You about 10 seconds left.
Okay. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us here in Kalamazoo. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
I'm Adam Snow, and ask me if we've kept the show under an hour and 11 minutes.
We'll see you all next week.